The Arab Spring was a wave of pro-democracy protests and uprisings that took place in the Middle East and North Africa. The regions of protest include Egypt, Tunisia, Yemen, Syria, Libya, and Morocco. It aimed to end authoritarian rule once and for all and secure a more democratic system and a brighter economic future. The movement started in December 2010 when a street vendor named Mohammad Bouazizi burned himself as a form of protest against the treatment he received by local officials. This event, dubbed the Jasmine Revolution, and quickly spread throughout the country and led to widespread protest that spread into East and North African countries, causing many autocrats to step down as well.
This is a revolutionary movement as many countries are trying to overthrow the corrupt leader and governments in order to evolve and bring mass societal changes.
Causes of the Arab Springs movement. Numerous factors led to the protests, including issues such as reform, human rights violations, political corruption, economic decline, unemployment, extreme poverty, and a number of demographic structural factors such as a large percentage of educated but dissatisfied youth within the entire population. Many Arab countries were ruled by autocratic regimes that suppressed political dissent, curtailed civil liberties, and limited political participation. The lack of political freedoms and democratic institutions created widespread frustration and a desire for change. High levels of unemployment, particularly among the youth, and economic inequality were prevalent throughout the region. Limited job prospects, rising prices, and unequal distribution of wealth contributed to social and economic grievances. Widespread corruption, with ruling elites and their associates benefiting from economic resources and opportunities, fueled public anger. The perception of a lack of accountability and fairness in governance led to demands for transparency and an end to corruption. Corrupt governments have unfair distribution of resources, which can lead people to demand systematic change. As resources are diverted unfairly, it leads to widespread poverty, unemployment, and inequality, which can lead to frustration of the country and start protests.
The movement began in 2010. After a fire event began the Jasmine Revolution. After the Jasmine Revolution, a series of protests which led to the dethroning of autocrats all around North America and the Middle East, sparked until 2012, when the movement died down due to oppression from pro-government forces and militia. The movement originated in Tunisia, from where it spread across North Africa and the Middle East. Sustained street protests took place in Morocco, Iraq, Algeria, Lebanon, Jordan, Kuwait, Oman, and Sudan. Minor protests took place in Mauritania, Palestine, Saudi Arabia, and on the Moroccan-occupied Western Sahara.
The Arab Spring movement had a significant impact among the many Arab nations such as Yemen, Tunisia, Egypt, and many more. This profound impact caused a change in government order into a democratic ideology throughout these countries, which allowed division in power and leaders, thus empowering ordinary citizens and shaping a greater future. The most significant outcome throughout the Arab Spring movement was overthrowing tyrant-like leaders. For example, the growth of the movement and intensity of protest caused President Zine Ali of Tunisia to flee the country, marking one of the first major accomplishments in the movement. Though the movement significantly brought a greater future for these countries, it came with its consequences. For instance, Libya overthrew their tyrant leader, but the aftermath was brutal as Libya fell in a war zone as violence was brought upon for competing for power. Even economically, many countries faced challenges such as Yemen, whose unemployment rates skyrocketed after the movement. Overall, the movement impacted these countries negatively but also positively in certain areas. The Arab Spring movement, though being impactful, had many mixed opinions throughout the people. Many young people or activists saw this to be a transformative era and believed democratic changes would bring a bright future, empowering them to protest. Other people, particularly from the older generations, saw this movement as a potential for instability or violence that can corrupt their everyday lives. So as identified, opinions on the movements vary throughout different generations, where some see the Arab Spring movement to be a way to change governmental order for a better future, Others move past that and see the consequences such as violence and instability.
Social media helped facilitate the uprisings in the Middle East and North Africa, and also formed groups of activists. It also spread information about the current activities and affairs going on to raise global awareness of the current situation in the Arab Spring. However, it also has some disadvantages as it started spreading false information, hate speeches, and targeted surveillance globally. But with the help of social media, more people started talking about the ongoing activities, corrupt government, and made inspiring speeches, which people then formed groups and online protests globally to shout against the government.
Regardless of the varying perspectives on the Arab Springs movement, how it unfolded, and its impact, all can agree that it had a major impact on the world we live in today. It led to the spread of democratic ideals, especially among citizens around the world, as many countries involved in the movement ended up removing the autocratic leader and working towards democracy. It empowered more ordinary citizens to participate in political processes, which led to more transnational representation and freedom. It led to better international relations, when countries responded to the movement and created alliances. Most importantly, it drew attention to human rights violations, which led to more being done to improve human rights as a global initiative.